Hey guys, Tara here for Rev3 Games, and I'm sitting next to Daniel Nordlander. He is from Yager Development. You guys are working on Dead Island 2, which is kind of a new thing for you. The first one was developed by Techland. You guys have previously worked on Spec Ops: The Line, which was praised so highly for its narrative and story elements. Is that something you're actively trying to incorporate into the Dead Island series? Because I know the first one wasn't really known for its story.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Yager has its own kind of take on things, I would say, and I would say we're very kind of meticulous with details. So, you know, even though Dead Island is not something we're trying to make into this serious thing all of a sudden, because, you know, when you play the first game, it does have kind of serious elements in the story, but if you look at the gameplay, actually, you know, you're running around and killing zombies in like this really over-the-top ways, you're modding weapons with like fire mods, and you know, that's something we wanted to look at, and actually what we did when we started pre-production was we actually prototyped the entire game in Unreal Engine 3, and the first approach we did was we looked at the trailer of the first game that was really great, you know, so well done, and we were like, okay, we're gonna do that, you know, we just did Spec Ops, let's go the serious route, and that was cool, you know, we had a prototype that was working quite well, but then we added co-op on top of it. And we realized that that's just not working, because, you know, if you have this moral decision or like a serious moment, but in the background you have your friend running around, you know, slaying zombies, you just get this weird disconnect. So we just decided to embrace the fun and kind of go all in for this kind of lighthearted, more fun approach, and kind of match the narrative to what you're actually doing in the gameplay. So that's what we ended up with now for Dead Island 2, this more fun approach. But like I said, I think Yager still has its stamp on it in looking at the details and, you know, doing a lot of research. For example, we had some people going over to California, scanning trees. So like the trees in our game are actual Californian trees. Yeah. And also it was really important to us to bring the second game into more like familiar territory. So the first one took place on an island that's completely fictional. So we wanted to keep that aspect of it, that is like kind of like a paradise, you want to go on vacation there, but we wanted to make it more familiar. So we decided to bring it to California and have, you know, these iconic landmarks like, you know, going to LA, San Francisco. We had the Hollywood sign in there in the demo, as you might have seen, which we had to pay a lot of money for. We didn't know that when we wanted to have it there, but yeah.
So there are multiple locations all over the US then?
No, it's all focused in California. So basically, story-wise, from the first game, the virus, the zombie virus, has somehow traveled from the island of Banoi into the state of California. And what the US government decides to do is quarantine off the entire state. So it basically becomes like a metaphorical dead island of the United States. Yeah.
So you're the game designer. I imagine you have a huge role in the actual gameplay of Dead Island 2. Is there going to be a lot different between this one and the previous one?
Well, I mean, I would say that when you see the game and you're familiar with the first one, you will see that it is still similar in some ways, but there are a lot of new things. So, you know, one of the biggest things we like to talk about is that we have doubled the player number now. So in the first game you had 4-player co-op, in the second one you have 8-player co-op, and it's all seamless. So what that means is basically when you're running around in the world, you're not really choosing like, oh, I want to play co-op mode now. You're just running around, you might see an explosion in the distance, go and check it out, and, you know, turns out that it's another player there. And you can kind of decide then, oh, should we hook up and, you know, play together, or do we just want to go our separate ways? Or even compete against each other, because we have like PvP events happening in the world. So for example, you might see like a chopper crashing in the distance, go there and check it out, and when you go close by there, you enter a PvP zone. So you can then compete against other players for the loot of the chopper, but you know, once you're done with that, you can kind of then cooperate with them again. So it's all this kind of seamless thing. So that's one of the biggest new things of the sequel. But of course, we have new setting, new enemies, new weapons, all that good stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I loved the first Dead Island. Weapon combining was sort of a huge part of that game, and I noticed in the demo for Dead Island 2, you guys, it seems like it's a lot easier and quicker to do that now. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, what you saw in the demo today is that you can go and gather like electronic components from the electronics store, and that will unlock a shock mod for one of your weapons. Actually, in the demo that happens automatically, but in the final game, you know, you need to find a crafting blueprint similar to the first game, and then you can kind of decide what weapon you want to craft the mod on. But what's new about it in the second game now is you can craft on the fly. and repair your weapons on the fly. So in the first game, you would have to find a workbench and go there, and that kind of took you out of the action a little bit. So we decided to streamline it, allow you to do it anywhere, but you kind of need to have a buddy guarding you while you do it, because you don't really pause the game when you're doing it. So again, brings this kind of co-op gameplay into it.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest frustrations with the first game, is that you had to find those weapon crafting benches, and now it seems like, at least from the demo that I played, you can just pick up items, and if there's a weapon weapon mod that you can craft, it sort of automatically does it?
No, like I said, like for the demo, that's how it works. But actually, you need to like decide in the full game. Like, okay, I have the recipe for the mod, and I can then choose which weapon do I want it for. But every mod works with every weapon. We have a bunch of new mods as well that are really cool. We have like the freeze mod, freezes enemies. We have like the pheromone mod, which makes zombies attack each other. And we have some mods that actually work different depending on the enemy you're fighting against. So we have human enemies in the game as well. So we have a mod for that's called the poison mod. And if you have a poison modded weapon and attack a human with it, he's going to get infected with the zombie virus and like instantly turn into a zombie and start attacking his own friends, kind of.
Let's talk about multiplayer, because that is a big part of Dead Island 2, from what I understand. How are you guys working on that, and how's it going to be different?
So how it's going to be different, like one of the main ways it's influenced the game is kind of in the whole structure. So since it's completely designed from the ground up for co-op play, what that means is that the way you do missions and quests has changed slightly. It's still, you can have these classical missions that you get from NPCs, just like in the first game. But what we added are these kind of events that happen in the world. So like in the demo, for example, there's like a bar where some survivors are, having a party because they're, embracing the apocalypse, and they still need to have fun, even though there's zombies everywhere. So they ask you, the heroes who are immune to the virus, to like, hey, guard us while we're having this party because it's making a lot of noise, attracting zombies. And you as a player, when you go nearby, you get notified that the event is taking place, and you can then choose, do I go there and help them out, or do I just go and do my own thing? And based on how much you contribute to help them, that's going to give you then more rewards, basically. So that's one new big different thing.
I read somewhere that it's the actual zombies in this game seem to be able to take less damage than previously. Is that true? And if so, how do you sort of find that balance there? Are there more of them? Are they just easier to take down in general?
Yeah, so I mean, we played around with a lot of different things. Like I mentioned before, we did this a lot of prototyping work back in the day, and we had a lot of different combat systems. We tried out having really tough zombies. So you would only fight a few at a time. We tried out having a lot of them at the same time, and that's kind of more the direction we decided to go. Part of it is because we're going next gen with it. So Dead Island 2 is only coming on next gen platforms and PC, which means we were allowed to up the zombie count. So in the first game, you kind of have this almost like duels against 1 to 3 zombies at the same time. But what we did was, we have upwards of 20 to 50 zombies in the same battle sometimes, and that definitely influenced how we designed the combat. So we added a new type of attack, for example. On the left trigger, you now have a power attack, and that's specifically designed to handle large groups of zombies. So it's this kind of big swipe thing that you can use to take out multiple zombies at the same time. We also looked at the kick mechanic that was there in the first game. It's still in the second one, but we looked at ways to improve that also when you have large groups of zombies. So for example, when you kick a zombie and it stumbles into other zombies, you get this like domino effect where it makes the other zombies stumble as well. And you kind of use that to your advantage when you're fighting larger groups of zombies. So you can kind of kick a zombie into another group of them. That gives you some room to charge up a power attack and take out several of them at once.
You guys still have the rage feature, right?
Yeah.
Has that changed at all?
I mean, it's kind of similar to the first game, but how it worked there was it was more like a mode you activated, and for us now it's more like a specific kind of attack. So we have new classes in the game, and each class has their own fury attack. So you basically build up rage by killing zombies, and then when your fury meter fills up, you can then press the right bumper, and that's going to trigger one of these attacks. So for the 2 classes we have in the demo today, we have the Berserker. He's kind of your tank class, and his fury attack is like a super powerful kick, sends zombies flying like into the distance. And then we have the Speeder, which is kind of our assassin roguelike character, and her fury attack is like a stabbing kind of attack. So you can kind of target a zombie that's kind of far away. She would like sprint up to them and like stab them in the head or stab them from behind. They're coming from behind, so yeah.
Awesome. Do you guys have a release date for this game yet?
Yeah, so Dead Island 2 is coming out in spring 2015 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC.
Thank you so much for your time. We are checking out Borderlands, the pre-sequel right now, and I've been waiting so long for this, finally getting hands-on with the Claptrap character. I'm going to hand the mic off to you and let you talk a little bit over me as I play.
Yep. So yeah, of course, Claptrap, like all Vault Hunters, has 3 skill trees. His leftmost one is called Boom Trap, and that's all about making him really powerful with explosive damage.